What's up, everybody? This is Rob Stallone from StalloneSports.com, here to bring to you the midweek college basketball video on Wednesday, February the 1st. We're all the way into February, about halfway through conference play. This season has flown by, but this is the meat and potatoes of the schedule, and this is where I really start to fire away and find some good advantages. I've got to see a lot of these teams play multiple times. Got to know these conferences pretty well, and here we go with my biggest card of the year. I got 6 plays on the card tonight. Massive card as per usual on a Wednesday, and I really found some good edges, I think. So coming off a 3-1 Tuesday, made just under a shade of 2 units yesterday. Got the record up to, we're hitting 77 wins, 69 losses, 53%, and we're up 5 units. So you know what? It's okay, hovering around a nice 53%, but this is the time of year where I usually ramp it up and I really start to fire away and build the bankroll. Like if last year's any indication, around this time I just caught absolute fire to the end of the tournament. Finished up around 30 units. That was I don't expect to hit that 30 again, but if we can get this up to about 15 units, I'll be really happy for the season. So here we go. First play. This is probably my strongest play of the night. I got a unit and a half on this game. For those who don't know, I bet on a 1.5, and 2 unit scale. I got a unit and a half on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets plus 11. Cashed a big bet with Georgia Tech last week, kicking myself for not betting them this weekend against Notre Dame. They won again. When you look at the full season numbers for this game, the spread is going to tell you that Clemson should be about a 10-point favorite here. But what the numbers aren't showing you is the improvement that Georgia Tech has made this year. They weren't supposed to win a game in ACC play, and they have covered 6 straight games in the ACC, all as dogs, and they've won 4 of those games outright. Now, they started off the ACC, they got waxed at Duke. I think they lost by 50. And then, since then, they've gone to NC State. They won outright as an 8.5-point dog. They lost to Virginia Tech by 1, and they lost at Virginia by 13. Nothing to be ashamed of there. I can't believe Clemson is laying. I got a plus 11s out there right now. I got plus 11. I can't believe they're laying 11. Now, Clemson has had a brutal schedule, and I was high on this team to start the year. I thought they were going to make some noise in the ACC, but they were on the wrong side of a lot of close losses. I will give them that, but they've only covered 1 of their last 7 games. They're 0-3 straight up at home, 0-3 against the spread in ACC play. And they just struggle too much at the defensive end for me to lay this kind of number with them. And they don't have the offensive firepower to make up for it. Georgia Tech comes into this game. Confidence is sky high. I know the market's thinking this is a flat spot for them, coming off those 2 big home victories. But to me, this is a young team playing with house money. Confidence is sky high. And you're asking Clemson to lay 11 here in this matchup? I don't see it. I got Georgia Tech plus 11. I would have made this number maybe 7. We're getting some really good value again with Georgia Tech. Hey, I don't like being on public dogs. I'm clearly on a public dog tonight, but I think it's the right side, so it's not going to stop me from pulling the trigger. So if you had to bet one game tonight, that would probably be the one I suggest. Georgia Tech plus the 11. Got a unit and a half on that one. Second game, Texas Longhorns -1 at home. I've been high on Texas recently. I really think this young team Shaka Smart's got this young team playing very well. And it's a bet on versus a bet against situation for me right now. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Texas is very underrated right now. Their record does not look good, but they have been very, very tough in Big 12 play as of late. They're a real scrappy team. They play great defense, and they should frustrate the Red Raiders tonight. Texas Tech has been brutal on the road this year in Big 12 play. They're 0-4 straight up, 1-3 against the number in road play in the conference. And this looks like a good spot for Texas to break through and get a solid home win here. They have owned Texas Tech in this building over the years. I think they've won like 20 straight. Don't quote me on that. Something ridiculous, but they own this team. And the Longhorns are 7-2 against the spread in conference play. This is a bet-on team in my eyes. They have really, really showed me a lot. I like what I see from them. I like the defense. I'm not sold on Texas Tech whatsoever. Give me the Longhorns here, -1 at home. That's a short price, pick 'em price. I think that's the right side here for tonight. They're going to break through and get a nice Big 12 home win here. Third game, I got the Seton Hall Pirates in the first half plus the 3. There's going to be a big adjustment period here for Xavier without Edmund Sumner, their point guard. We saw it with Creighton when Mo Watson went down. The first 2 games without him, they struggled mightily. And Seton Hall comes into this game off. They were off for a whole week. They haven't played since last Wednesday, and I think they have the advantage early on in this matchup. Xavier's going to have to turn to freshman point guard Quentin Gooden to run their offense now. Hasn't got very many minutes this year. And Seton Hall has proven they can beat this Xavier team. They beat them 2 out of 3 times last year, and they will not be intimidated by this atmosphere at all. They're a tough, gritty team, and I expect them to get right after the freshman point guard for Xavier. And I think they're going to punch Xavier in the mouth early on in this game. I'm going with the first half plus the 3 rather than the full game plus about 5.5. If I was getting 6.5 or 7 with the full game, I would probably lean full game. But I respect Xavier head coach Chris Mack. I respect his ability to make adjustments at the half. And Seton Hall is dismal at the free throw line. I'm making a strong point to avoid teams that cannot shoot free throws. They're absolutely killing me in some of these games. And with the way the game's being called, free throws are becoming a much bigger point of the game. They are shooting 60% from the line as a team in Big East play. They just can't be trusted. But early, I think there's going to be a major adjustment period for Xavier here. They're coming off back-to-back road games. The hard-fought game at Cincinnati, the rivalry game. Then they played on the road again against St. John, squeaked out a 5-point win. I just do not like the spot here. Seton Hall comes in ready and rested. They are a very scrappy team. I like this team. I think they can punch Xavier in the mouth early, get up on them in the first half, and hopefully we can cash the ticket by halftime, plus the 3 for the first half for the Pirates. Next game, we have South Carolina Gamecocks, minus 7.5. And this, I'm going to keep this one short. The markets have not come to grips with how bad LSU is. I don't know how. Each and every game they show us how terrible they are. Last week, Florida was laying 10.5 at LSU, beat them by 30, 35. And now South Carolina is laying 7.5. I don't agree with that whatsoever. They should be laying doubles here. LSU is a complete mess defensively. It's disgraceful. Their defense is so bad. They're soft, and South Carolina is going to just bully them here tonight. LSU 0-4 straight up and against the spread at home this year. Their losses coming by 7, 17, 15, and 35. This number is short with the Gamecocks. Lay the number. I know they're not a great offensive team. They will have success tonight. LSU is going to struggle to score. 7.5. That number is short. Trust me. That number should be 10, 10.5. I think. Give me the Gamecocks on the road here, laying 7.5. This one could be over early. Second last game here, we got Penn State Nittany Lions plus 6.5. Now listen, without Blackman and Anunoby, it's hard to make a case for Indiana laying these kinds of points. The Hoosiers' defense has been so terrible this season, as always, and over the first half of the year, they were lucky enough to have Blackman to fall back on to bail them out, like he did last week at Penn State. Bailed them out in the game. Their defense couldn't get stops late. Indiana won the game by 3 on a buzzer beater from Blackman. Their next game at home, they beat MSU, Michigan State, and then they were dominated in back-to-back games at Michigan and Northwestern, games where they were complete no-shows. Now, all the pressure is on Indiana in this game. They need this game to keep their tournament hopes alive. Penn State comes in loose, looking to avenge that loss from last week. There's a very young team, but they've impressed me with their defense. Their defense has been very good, ranking top 3 in the Big Ten in a lot of categories. I think they can hang in this game tonight. And with exception to when they got crushed at Purdue and Wisconsin, which is normal for a young team, they have performed well against the other average teams in the Big Ten on the road. They took care of Rutgers on the road. They lost by 3 at Michigan, and they beat Michigan State on a neutral. And trust me, with Blackman out and Anunoby out, I want no part of Indiana. That's 2 of their top 4 players out, and they can't stop a nosebleed on defense. I cannot lay 6.5 here. I will gladly take Penn State plus the 6.5. I think this can be a grinder. And they're going to come in loose. All the pressure is on Indiana here. I don't know how anyone could lay 6.5 with Indiana here tonight. People are looking at the season-long stats. I understand that, but I'm jumping on Penn State here, plus 6.5. Would not shock me to see them win this game, or at least be in it to the final buzzer. And the final game, sixth game on the card tonight is the Washington State Cougars. Plus 16.5 at home tonight against UCLA. I'm going to hold my nose and take a shot with Wazoo here tonight. They're not a good team. I know that. They struggled defensively, but they played some better ball of late. They won 2 of their last 3 games. And I know UCLA is obviously the far superior team, but they can't be trusted in this point spread range on the road. Not with that defense. I'm sorry. They can really fill it up, but their defense is not good whatsoever. This Wazoo team struggles on defense as well, but their team features 4 seniors. They take care of the basketball, and they knock down their free throws, hitting about 77% in Pac-12 play. Even if UCLA jumps out to a lead here, the back door is wide open. They're going to be willing to trade baskets here. And this number seems too high to me. 16.5. No, maybe it would have made it 12, 12.5, 13 maybe. I'm going to take a shot with Wazoo here tonight, plus the 16.5. Like I said, they won 2 of their last 3 games. They beat Colorado at home, went on the road and got beat by 17 against Arizona, and then they went on the road again and beat Arizona State outright by 8, which was a pretty impressive offensive performance. They can have success here against UCLA's defense. 16.5, just way too many points. So that's my final play, Washington State plus the 16.5. So just to recap, we have Georgia Tech plus 11. That is a 1.5 unit play. Texas Longhorns minus 1 for 1 unit. Seton Hall Pirates first half plus 3, 1 unit play. South Carolina minus 7.5, 1 unit play. Penn State plus 6.5, 1 unit. And Washington State plus 16.5, a 1 unit play. There you have it. I got 6 plays for tonight. Big card. My last game, I didn't quite make the card. I had USC circled at -2 at Washington. Kind of got scared off that one a bit. If the line drops to pick 'em, I'll probably add them. But those are the 6 plays for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Wish you guys the best of luck, and I'll see you again Saturday.